Welcome back to 15 lessons in 15 weeks. This is week 5, which officially puts us a third of the way through this challenge. And it is definitely challenging me. It's challenging my time. It's challenging just obviously looking back into these years and pulling out these lessons. But I'm excited. This is my last week in my teen years. Next week I cross the threshold of being 20, and yeah, it's going to be super exciting to see kind of how life changes and the different lessons that I get to pull from. But this week is a lesson from when I was 19, and 19 was a fun one. I finally had graduated graduated high school, obviously, like I talked about last week, and went to Bible school. And I realized that the lesson I learned from that year was all about making friends. So the lesson, first of all, is my head told me I didn't need friends, but I quickly learned that friends were what my heart needed. That's a tongue twister. And I'll explain, because I had good friends at this point. I made friends through high school, and going to Bible school, I was focused. I was set on really just honing in, trying to figure out, what God was calling me to do. I wanted to really just study. I was there to study the Bible, and I think my focus of just going there to be a student really overshadowed the fact that one of the other points of being there was about building community and making friends. And so I showed up, and I was obviously very nervous, as you would be. And I very quickly got to know my roommates, which became really good friends of mine. I loved my roommates that first semester and every semester that followed, but that semester specifically was a turning point of realizing how much I needed friends. And I clicked with one roommate of mine in particular. We had such a really good time and had so many laughs, and we got to really build a friendship. But my head was still kind of telling me that, like, one friend, that's enough. Like, I don't need to invest in all these other friendships, that's fine. But I realized that actually throughout that year, it wasn't just solely trying to figure out what God was calling me to do. I wasn't supposed to be there just specifically to focus on my studies, even though obviously that's important. But really, my head was telling me I didn't need these friends because I felt like I was covered. I covered the friendship thing. But I very quickly realized that friends are so, so important in life, in the good times of your life, the bad times of your life. I started seeing these kind of friendship circles start to form around me, and I realized I was missing out. I was kind of the person that was maybe getting invited to things and was just like, oh, I don't want to do that. I'm a kind of an introverted person, even though I don't really like to just stick to that, but I am a little shy sometimes, and making new friends isn't always super easy for me. But that year, I realized that it was so, so crucial for me to put myself out there, to say hello, to ask the questions, and to build friendships. And I found this verse in Ecclesiastes. It's in chapter 4, verses 9 through 10, and it says, "Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their toil. For if they fall, one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him who is alone, for when he falls and has not another to lift him up." And I was really experiencing this and seeing this firsthand, because I realized that when I started to have that community kind of form around me, because I was making friends, because I was meeting new people, I realized that two really is better than one. And even though friendships can be messy sometimes, they can have their highs, they can have their lows, they can kind of just have their plateaus, really. But I would have rather been in a place where I was in friendship in community with people, because if I fell or if somebody around me fell, I got to have somebody to pick me up, or I got to be that person to pick somebody else up. And that was truly what my heart needed. And when I realized that that's what my heart needed, my head followed. Because when I got there, remember, my head told me I didn't need friends. But then I realized that friends were what my heart needed, because they brought joy and they brought healing and they brought encouragement and truth. And so this week's lesson is simply a challenge and kind of an encouragement to you that if you find yourself in a season where maybe it's not easy to make friends, maybe you are a little bit shy and, you've realized that you just kind of want to do life alone. My challenge to you is to step out of that a little bit, to put yourself in community that is going to be there for you in the good times and in the bad, because we weren't meant to live life alone. We weren't meant to be isolated. We were meant to be with people and to have people around us to link arms and to say, you can do this, or to be there when you finish a marathon, or when you finish a degree, or whatever it might be that your dreams are. Friends are so good, and the lows and the highs and everything in between. And it just is so important to realize that they're good, they're healing, they're really good to have around, and they're crucial. So I'm gonna stop mumbling about how good friends are and let you go out and be with your friends and make new friends, because if your head is telling you that you don't need friends, I just challenge you to reevaluate and see how your heart is, because I learned at 19 that what my heart needed was true friends. So I hope this has encouraged you and challenged you. Join me next week as I cross into my 20s for week 6 of this 15-week challenge. I'll see you then.